Okay, so this excerpt, Las Sombras de Pedravella. Wow, what a story.
Yeah.
Remote village in the Pyrenees, people just vanishing. And then you've got this journalist who kind of stumbles into this mystery that's terrifying, but also like deeply personal for her.
Yeah.
It's like straight out of like a Gothic novel, don't you think?
It really is, and it really kind of taps into that fear of the unknown, right? Especially with the setting. The Pyrenees Mountains, rugged terrain, these deep forests, they've always had this kind of, like, mystery around them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And even just the name Pedravella.
Right.
I mean, it sounds like, what, hidden stone or like shadowed rock?
Yeah.
It's like the name itself is already hinting that something's going on, right?
Yes.
Like something's concealed.
Yeah, definitely.
And then we're introduced to Dunya, this young journalist, and she's sent to cover the disappearance of this young man, Biel Muntada. But here's where it gets interesting. Pedravella is her childhood home. So this isn't just another assignment for her.
Right.
It's like walking back into a past that maybe she should just leave alone.
It's that personal connection, too, that really adds that tension to the story. Almost feel the weight of her past, like, weighing down on her.
Yeah, for sure. And it gets creepy right away. Imagine arriving in this village, and instead of a warm welcome, you're met with silence. Hostile silence. No one will even look at her, let alone talk to her. And even the innkeeper, who must remember as a kid, gives her this super creepy warning. In this village, nobody speaks of those who disappear. I mean, come on, right?
Yeah, it's very unsettling, that kind of collective silence. It's like they're all in on it, right? Like bound by some kind of fear that they won't even talk about. So it makes you wonder, what are they afraid of?
Exactly. What happened in this village to make everyone so quiet?
Yeah.
And then there's the note.
Okay.
So picture this. You're in your room at the inn, jet-lagged, probably a little freaked out already, and someone slips a note under your door. It reads, "If you want answers, go to the forest. But cuidado. Some shadows don't want to be seen." So someone knows about Dunya, knows about her investigation, wants to guide her. But it's all very cryptic and, like, almost threatening, right?
Yeah, it really makes you wonder who wrote the note. Is it someone trying to help, trying to lead her into danger?
Yeah, exactly.
And that warning about the shadows is almost like a challenge, right? Daring her to find out what's hidden.
Right. So Dunya, being the fearless journalist she is, or maybe just stubborn, like, I don't know, she follows the instructions, heads into the forest.
Oh.
Now, I don't know about you, but if someone told me to watch out for shadows that don't want to be seen, I'd be out of there.
Yeah, I think most people would.
Right. But this shows how determined she is. Gotta uncover the truth, even if it freaks her out. And, you know, I kind of admire that. Like that courage facing the unknown. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So she finds this ruined chapel, and it's surrounded by mist. And it's just, like, dead silent, almost suffocating, you know? Like the air is heavy with secrets.
Yeah.
And then there are these whispers, like she's being watched, surrounded. It's like the whole forest is alive, watching her.
That description of the chapel is important here. It's not just old and broken down. It's like malevolent, you know?
Yeah.
It almost represents this decay, like the hidden truth at the heart of Pedravella.
Yeah, like a physical manifestation of the village's secrets, you know?
Exactly.
And then she finds this silver medallion, like an old medallion.
Yeah.
With a spiral symbol on it. You mentioned that before about spirals.
Yeah.
Why are they important?
Spirals are, well, they're fascinating symbolically.
Okay.
Journeys inward or descent into the unknown, cycles of repetition. It makes you wonder, is this about Dunya, like going deeper into this mystery, or is it about the village itself, like stuck in this cycle of disappearances and this like silence?
Oh, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
And as she's, thinking about this spiral, she comes face to face with, well, it doesn't explicitly say ghost, but that's the vibe you get, right?
Yeah.
This figure appears, like out of thin air, calls himself Arnaud.
And here's where it gets even more interesting. Right.
Arnaud is Biel's brother, vanished 2 years earlier. And I think Dunya remembers reading about his disappearance, how mysterious it was.
Right.
So suddenly all these things, the note, the warnings, the whispers, they all start to feel connected.
Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about a plot twist.
Right.
And Arnaud leads her further into the chapel. And remember those whispers outside? They get louder inside, more insistent, almost like they're trying to warn her about something. But she can't quite, understand them. And then she sees the names carved into the chapel walls.
And each name is a person who's vanished from Pedravella. I'm not talking about a couple of people here. This is decades of people just gone.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It turns it from like these isolated incidents into a pattern, a horrifying legacy hanging over the village.
And it's at this point that I think Dunya realizes how big this mystery really is, right?
Oh, yeah.
This isn't just about finding Beale.
Right.
This is about unraveling a secret that goes back generations, a secret the whole village is in on. This is what makes it so compelling. It's not just a ghost story. It's about this community's silence, the weight of the past, and like the courage it takes to face the truth, however terrifying it is.
Okay, let's pause here for a second. I want our listeners to really imagine this, right?
Yep.
You're in this creepy, ruined chapel. Names of missing people on the walls, whispers all around you. And you're standing with the ghost of a guy who vanished 2 years ago. I mean, what would be going through your mind?
Oh, man. I think at that point, most of us would be questioning our sanity.
Yeah, for sure.
But for Dunya, this is just the beginning of her journey into Pedravella's darkness. And remember that silver medallion with the spiral? It's like a symbol, a reminder of her going deeper into the mystery.
Yeah.
And then, as if the names and the whispers weren't enough,
Right.
Arno takes her to something even more terrifying. A hole in the floor of the chapel.
Not just a hole, it's like this abyss, this gaping, like, bah!
Whoa!
It's described as breathing, pulsating with this eerie red glow.
Yeah.
And you can see figures in it, you know?
No way.
Like ghostly shapes moving around in the darkness. It's like a window into another dimension or a portal to, like, somewhere else. I'm getting chills just talking about it.
That's a really powerful image. This abyss becomes the village's hidden truth, right? All the things they don't want anyone to know.
Oh, for sure. And Arno calls it the call. What do you make of that? Like some kind of supernatural force, a ritual, something even worse.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
So you've got this image of the abyss, the whispers are getting louder, and then a hand reaches out of the hole, tries to pull Dunya in.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, imagine that terror, right? Being dragged towards this unknown darkness, toward those figures.
Yeah, it's like whatever is down there knows about Dunya and is trying to grab her. Like the village itself is trying to swallow the truth, just like that hole in the chapel floor.
She escapes, but just barely. And when she tries to tell the innkeeper about it, to get some kind of explanation, you know, to make sure she's not losing her mind.
Yeah.
The woman just gives her this like ice cold response. Pedravella always keeps its secrets and you should too.
Wow. It's like this code of silence is woven into their very being.
Right?
A way of life. They've made some pact with this darkness, this evil, a pact to keep quiet, to look away in exchange for what? Safety? Survival? We don't know.
So Dunya leaves Pedravella totally traumatized. She can't tell anyone about it, and she's haunted by that spiral and all those unanswered questions. It's like the village has marked her in some way.
Yeah, it's heavy stuff. And it leaves us as readers with this like burning need to know more, right?
Totally.
What is this called? Why is there red light coming from the abyss? What happened to all those people?
I know, right? And you mentioned a cover-up earlier. Like, what if the villagers are somehow involved in those disappearances?
Right.
What if they're protecting something, like a secret, a tradition, maybe even like a dark entity that wants sacrifices?
That's a scary thought.
Right. The innkeeper's warning, the silence, those carved names, it all points to them knowing more than they let on.
Yeah, but what if it's even more complicated than that?
Okay, how so?
What if it's not intentional? What if they're forced to do it? Like they're under a spell or an ancient curse or something?
A curse. Ooh, that's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
And remember how the excerpt mentions Pedravella feels? Like stuck in time, cut off from the world? Maybe that isolation has led to fear and superstition.
Right.
Maybe even some kind of mass hysteria.
You know, that's what I was thinking. Like maybe they're not protecting something, but trying to contain it.
That's a good point. So we've got a lot of possibilities here. Like a rational explanation, a cult, a criminal conspiracy maybe, to something supernatural, a curse, a portal, I don't know. And the excerpt doesn't give us any answers. It leaves us to figure it out ourselves.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so good, right? It plays on our fears, our anxieties about things we can't explain. It makes us question what's happening in Pedravella and also our own reality.
And that's what's truly scary, isn't it? Not the jump scares or anything. It's that feeling of unease, like something isn't right. Like you said, it makes you question your own sanity.
Exactly. It's like looking in a mirror and not recognizing yourself.
Oh, that's creepy.
Right. And that's really the most terrifying thing, isn't it?
Now, you mentioned that there were other strange things reported in Pedravella, like in the news.
Yeah.
What if we could dig into those archives?
Yeah.
Old newspaper articles, police reports. What else might we find?
Ooh, imagine those dusty old files, right? Filled with stories of weird events, rumors, maybe even official reports that were, like, hidden or covered up.
Yeah. What if those archives hold the key to understanding what's really happening in Pedravella?
It would be fascinating, wouldn't it?
It's like we're just scratching the surface of this whole thing.
Yep.
And every time we dig a little deeper, it gets even more unsettling. Makes you wonder, maybe some secrets should stay buried.
Right. Maybe we're better off not knowing.
It's interesting, that Dunya chose to just stay quiet. Makes you wonder, if we were in her shoes, would we do the same? Like try to warn others, even if they didn't believe us, or just protect ourselves and keep it all a secret?
Yeah, that's a tough one. You feel like you should speak up, right? Prevent other people from going through the same thing. But then there's that fear of being laughed at or people thinking you're crazy. Especially when everyone's telling you you're wrong or making it up.
And for Dunya, it's even harder because, how do you explain a ghostly abyss or a figure that says he's the brother of a missing person? Especially when everyone's saying you're imagining things.
Right, exactly. She's stuck in this nightmare she can't escape. And the only way to survive is to pretend it's not happening. To bury it deep down where it can't hurt her.
But even things you try to bury have a way of coming back, right?
Oh, absolutely. Like a feed waiting to sprout. And that's what makes this story so unsettling. It leaves you with this feeling that it's not over. Like those shadows in Pedravella are still out there waiting.
So what do you think? Is Pedravella a place to avoid at all costs? Or would you be tempted to go there? Like some kind of dark tourism thing.
It's tempting, right? To walk those streets, feel that silence, see if those whispers are real. But knowing what we know, the disappearances, the abyss, how creepy the villagers are, I don't know if I'd risk it.
Yeah, I think I'd stick to, researching from afar. Much safer.
Yeah.
But why are we so drawn to these kinds of stories? The unknown, the unexplained. Like haunted villages, missing people, ancient secrets. Why are we so fascinated?
I think it's that, basic human instinct to look into the darkness, even though we don't understand it. Like staring into the abyss, knowing something might be staring back.
Right.
It reminds us that even with all our technology and knowledge, there are still things we can't explain.
And maybe that's scary and exciting at the same time, right? Like we're not always in control. There are things out there, forces in the universe that we just don't get.
Yeah. And maybe that's okay. Maybe that's the point of this whole story, Sombras de Pedravella. It's not about having all the answers. It's about living with the questions, accepting that some things will always be a mystery.
So to everyone listening, next time you hear a story about something strange, something unexplained, think about the shadows of Pedravella. Remember that some mysteries are better left unsolved. Some truths are better left buried. But also remember Dunya, the journalist who faced the unknown, even though it cost her peace of mind.
And remember, the darkness isn't always something to be afraid of. Sometimes it's just a reflection of the mysteries inside us all.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and stay open to the wonders and horrors of this world.